Good evening. Breaking news from the South China Sea. At dawn, the USS Higgins faced a tense standoff with Chinese warships. The crew was alert, aware of potential provocations. Suddenly, the calm was shattered. Two small dots approached at high speed. The mission? Assert rights, challenge claims, avoid miscalculation. The bridge braced for confrontation. The USS Higgins was now at the center of a major international incident. The bridge atmosphere shifted instantly. Readiness replaced routine. The two fast-approaching contacts were no commercial vessels. Designate contacts as Sierra 1 and Sierra 2. Track and update, ordered Commander David Chen. The CIC team worked fast, feeding data into combat systems. Bridge, ESM, fire control radar signals from both contacts. They're illuminating us. Hostile intent was clear, a digital challenge across the water. Lookouts, visual ID as soon as possible, Chen ordered. Binoculars scanned the horizon. Bridge, port lookout, visual on two gray hulls, 085. They look like planned destroyers. The Chinese Navy had arrived. The chess match was now face to face. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, no panic, just focus. Commander Chen and his XO reviewed rules of engagement and possible maneuvers. Their goal, complete the mission, avoid escalation. The Chinese ships grew larger on the horizon. Intercept course set. The message was clear. The US presence was being challenged. The Higgins crew braced for the next move. The bridge was a hive of activity, every station manned. The Chinese destroyers were now close, their intentions unmistakable. The standoff was no longer theoretical. The American warship was boxed in, the margin for error shrinking. The crew's discipline and training would be tested in the minutes ahead. The silent tension was now a visible confrontation. The world's eyes were on the South China Sea. The next move would define the encounter. The radio crackled. American warship, this is the Chinese Navy. You are entering Chinese territorial waters. Alter course immediately. The message was sharp, demanding. The officer of the deck replied, calm and professional. Chinese naval vessel, this is United States Navy warship, conducting innocent passage in accordance with international law. We will maintain our course and speed. The exchange was a test of wills, firm, polite, and grounded in legal principle. Silence, then a more aggressive warning. You are in Chinese waters! This is a violation of our sovereignty. Leave immediately! Commander Chen listened, knowing this was as much for the record as for the crews. The Higgins response remained steady. We are operating lawfully in international waters. We will continue with our planned transit. The radio duel repeated, each side unwavering. The Chinese warnings grew more insistent. The American replies stayed disciplined. No arguments, no threats, just protocol. This professionalism denied the Chinese any pretext to claim US aggression. The war of words was as crucial as the maneuvers. The world was listening, every word scrutinized. The ships drew closer, tension mounting. The radio standoff set the stage for what would happen next. The crew's resolve was clear. The US would not back down. The Chinese would not yield. The next move would be physical, not verbal. The stakes were rising. The South China Sea was now the world's stage. The confrontation was about to escalate. The Chinese ships were now close, modern, heavily armed, unmistakable. A Type 052D destroyer and a Type 054A frigate boxed in the Higgins, restricting its maneuvering room. Their movements were aggressive, deliberate. The mood on the Higgins bridge was electric. Every officer aware of the danger. The Chinese ships were less than 1,000 yards away. Crews could see each other on deck. The red flag of China fluttered, a symbol of shifting power in the Pacific. The destroyer cut sharply across the Higgins's bow, coming dangerously close. A calculated move to force the US ship to yield. Maintain course and speed, Chen ordered, refusing to be intimidated. The burden of avoiding collision was now on the Chinese captain. The Higgins held steady, a test of nerves and seamanship. The Chinese frigate shadowed from the rear, coordination tight. Their message, this sea is ours. The Higgins sailed in a narrow channel, flanked by determined adversaries. The margin for error was razor thin. Every second, the risk of disaster grew. The standoff was now a high-stakes game of brinkmanship. Inside the Higgins, tension was palpable, but discipline ruled. Commander Chen's calm set the tone, every order crisp, every response immediate. The navigator reported, 052 Delta at 500 yards, crossing our bow, closest point, 100 yards. A small error could mean catastrophe. Chen weighed his options: uphold free navigation, protect his crew. Helm, steady as she goes. The reply: steady as she goes, Captain. The bridge operated as a single unit, every sailor focused. Lookouts relayed constant updates. Communications monitored every channel. No shouting, no wasted motion, just flawless execution. The unseen strength of the U.S. Navy's skill, discipline, courage. The crew was the calm at the center of the storm. Every action was deliberate, every decision critical. The Higgins' professionalism was on full display. The chain of command was clear, the mission unchanged. The crew's training was their shield. In the face of danger, they stood resolute. The standoff was a test of nerves, not just firepower. The world watched as the Higgins held its ground. The next moments would decide everything. The moment of maximum danger arrived. The Chinese destroyer cut across the Higgins' bow, violating international rules. Chen had seconds to decide turn and yield, or risk collision. All engines back 1/3, he ordered. A subtle move to let the Chinese ship pass without backing down. The Higgins slowed, the destroyer swept past, so close sailors could see faces on both sides. For a few heartbeats, disaster seemed inevitable. Then, the Chinese ship was clear. The Higgins resumed speed, mission intact. The crew exhaled, a crisis averted by skill and restraint. The Chinese ships continued to shadow the Higgins for hours, radio warnings repeating. But the most dangerous moment had passed. The test of nerves was met with professionalism. The Higgins had navigated a treacherous situation, upholding international law and avoiding conflict. The crew's resolve had been proven. The South China Sea remained contested, but disaster was avoided. The world had witnessed a masterclass in seamanship. The standoff was not over, but the worst was behind them. Hours later, the propaganda war began. China's foreign ministry accused the U.S. of violating sovereignty, releasing video showing the Higgins as the aggressor. Beijing's message: their navy acted professionally, the U.S. was the intruder. The U.S. responded. Pentagon statements: video from the Higgins showing the Chinese destroyer's dangerous maneuver. The battle for public opinion was on. Both sides shaped the story for global audiences. China asserted control. The U.S. defended the rules-based order. The truth was tangled in competing narratives. For the world, confusion reigned. In the age of information warfare, perception was as important as reality. The incident became a symbol of the larger struggle. The South China Sea was now a battleground of words as well as warships. The stakes extended far beyond the horizon. This encounter was more than a news story. It was a snapshot of global competition. The South China Sea is a vital artery for trade and resources. China's sweeping claims challenge decades of international law. The U.S. pushes back with freedom of navigation operations. If China controls these waters, it can project power and intimidate neighbors. For the U.S., open seas are a core interest. The Higgins was a symbol of American resolve. Allies watched closely, caught between economic ties to China and security with the U.S. The incident showed the risks of brinkmanship. China's unsafe maneuvers are becoming more common. The goal: make U.S. patrols too dangerous to continue. It's a high-stakes gamble. One collision could spark a crisis. The chess game continues, each move calculated. The world holds its breath. As the Higgins sailed away, the region simmered with tension. The crisis was over, but the conflict remains. The professionalism of the crew prevented disaster. This time, as China's navy grows and U.S. challenges continue, these encounters will only increase. The core issue: a clash of worldviews. Open seas versus spheres of influence. The standoffs are the physical manifestation of a deeper struggle. Can the powers manage competition peacefully? Communication channels help, but accidents remain possible. The sailor's discipline is the last line of defense. The peace is fragile, the future unwritten. How long can this tense dance continue before someone takes a fatal misstep? Good night.